Imagine this. In 2018, young people across America began recording themselves biting into brightly colored laundry detergent pods, willingly ingesting poison for a few seconds of online attention. Around the same time, millions became convinced the Earth was flat, despite centuries of astronomical proof. Even now, somewhere in the digital sprawl, another conspiracy is surging across screens, gathering believers with the speed of a brush fire. The disturbing truth is, these aren't random outbursts of private foolishness. They are collective frenzies, movements that consume entire groups and cultures. Why is it that the most absurd, hollow, and often dangerous ideas spread with such ease, while profound truths seem to struggle for oxygen? Friedrich Nietzsche offered a sobering answer more than a century ago, one that may feel even sharper today than in his own era. Madness, he wrote, is rare in the individual, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. The very moment we merge into a crowd, our ability to think independently begins to erode. The collective does not sharpen our judgment, it dulls it. But why does this happen? What is it in human nature that makes us surrender our own eyes and ears for the comfort of the majority? Nietzsche believed the culprit was what he called the most dangerous force in society, the morality of the herd. He argued that morality, as we know it, is not a compass aimed at truth or virtue, but a social mechanism. It is an instinct forged by evolution, not to make us wiser, but to keep us uniform, compliant, and safe within the pack. As he put it, morality is simply the herd instinct in the individual. In practical terms, our sense of right and wrong often works less like a moral law and more like an internal boundary fence. It exists to keep us moving in step with the group, even when the group is wrong. This is why certain ideas go viral, not because they expand our understanding, but because they affirm our place inside a collective. They deliver the reassuring warmth of belonging without requiring the discomfort of deep thinking. In our digital age, the ideas that capture mass attention are rarely the ones that demand careful thought. They are the mental equivalent of processed sugar, instantly gratifying, easy to swallow, and devoid of substance. A meme that humiliates a political rival in one image doesn't challenge anyone to understand policy. It signals tribal loyalty. It is less an argument than a badge of membership. I stand with you. I hate what you hate. The content itself is secondary. What matters is the signal. This is the same psychology that fuels conspiracy theories. To believe in one is to feel part of an enlightened few who see through the illusions everyone else accepts. Yet, paradoxically, these groups form their own uniform masses, herds of non-conformists who all think identically. The deeper truth is that most people are terrified of standing alone. In the 1950s, psychologist Solomon Asch revealed just how deep this fear runs. He presented subjects with a simple test, matching the length of lines. The answer was obvious. But when surrounded by actors giving wrong answers with confidence, 3 out of 4 participants conformed at least once, denying the evidence before their eyes. Nietzsche saw this reflex as the chief obstacle to human greatness. He who would learn to fly one day must first learn to stand and walk and run and climb and dance. One cannot fly into flying, yet most never even take the first step of standing apart. They lack the inner strength to trust their own judgment over the crowds, because deep in our evolutionary memory, exile meant death. For early humans, independence often led to isolation, and isolation to extinction. We are descendants of those who mastered the art of fitting in, not of those who defied the tribe. This ancient wiring remains intact. When we see a wave of belief or behavior sweeping through our peers, be it a viral video, a fashionable outrage, or a shared target of ridicule, our primitive brain issues an unambiguous warning: join or be abandoned. This is why foolish ideas are not just tolerated, but actively sought. They feel safe, familiar, communal. Nietzsche saw an even darker instinct beneath this: the pleasure of pulling down anyone who dares to think or act beyond the herd. He called it Ressentiment, a bitter resentment toward excellence. It is not enough for the herd to ignore the exceptional. It must diminish and punish it. Modern social media has amplified this instinct into a weapon. The more visible someone becomes through talent, innovation, or success, the more relentless the mob's hunt for flaws, hypocrisies, or failures. In this way, shallow ideas thrive not merely because they unite people in belief, but because they unite them against a shared adversary. Psychology offers a precise explanation for why such ideas spread so effortlessly. Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman described the principle of cognitive ease, the tendency to accept information that is simple, familiar, and processed it without strain. When something feels smooth to the mind, it feels true. A headline like this one, "Strange trick doctors don't want you to know," bypasses reason entirely because it is short, familiar in form, and promises effortless insight. Robert Cialdini's work on social proof reveals the second part of the equation. When we see a large number of people endorsing something, whether through likes, shares, or public agreement, we instinctively treat popularity as a substitute for truth. Combined, these two forces create the perfect vessel for spreading falsehoods. An idea that is easy to digest and appears widely accepted will glide through our defenses without resistance. Our brains rarely pause to ask, "Is this true?" Instead, they ask, "Does it feel right?" And do others seem to agree? This is why emotional content travels faster than factual content. Studies of online behavior consistently show that outrage, humor, and fear outperform analysis, complexity, and nuance. Anger can reach millions before facts can reach thousands. Humor bonds people faster than reason can persuade them. Fear compels us to share warnings, even if unfounded. Outrage offers the intoxicating thrill of moral unity against a perceived wrongdoer. Social media algorithms have not merely noticed this. They are built to exploit it. Their aim is not truth, but engagement. Content that provokes strong feelings is elevated because strong feelings keep users clicking, reacting, and returning. As Nietzsche observed, there are no facts, only interpretations. Not to erase reality, but to remind us that humans respond to meaning and emotion far more readily than to data. In the herd, emotion is the glue. Shared feeling cements identity in a way shared knowledge rarely does. But Nietzsche's warning was not merely about personal bias. It was civilizational. When societies elevate conformity above independent thought, they drift toward what he called mediocrity of the spirit. The surest way to corrupt a youth, he wrote, is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. Look at our institutions today. How many reward genuine questioning over alignment with prevailing views? How many cultivate dissent rather than suppress it? In every era where independent thought became a liability, whether in the ideological rigidity of the Soviet Union or the cultural orthodoxy of Nazi Germany, societies entered decline, not because they lacked intelligence, but because intelligence was no longer permitted to challenge the herd. The speed of modern communication accelerates this decline. What once took decades for a culture to absorb can now be embedded in the collective mind in days. Resistance, however, is still possible, but it requires what Nietzsche called intellectual courage, the willingness to think thoughts that may leave you standing alone. This begins with recognizing the physical sensations of herd thinking within yourself, that rush of satisfaction when you share something that ridicules your opponents. Pause. That comforting warmth when you agree with what everyone else praises. Question it. That snap of certainty about a complex problem. Doubt it. These are not signs you have found the truth. They are signs your social instincts are overriding your judgment. From there, you can begin what might be called cognitive resistance training. Seek out the strongest, most articulate cases for ideas you oppose, not to convert, but to sharpen your ability to discern, engage with what makes you uneasy. Discomfort is often the first sign of growth. Learn to say, "I don't know," in a world that rewards the fastest answer over the most considered. Value. Honest uncertainty above confident error. And most of all, accept that independence carries a cost. The individual, Nietzsche wrote, has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. That struggle never ends. The herd offers the easy rewards of comfort, certainty, and belonging. Independent thought offers the harder path, meaning purchased with solitude, clarity earned through doubt. We are not merely surrounded by foolish ideas. We are building systems that favor them. Every time we reward what is popular over what is true, we make it harder for truth to survive. Every time we trade complexity for simplicity, we weaken our culture's capacity to handle reality. In the end, the danger is not just that people believe falsehoods. It is that we will become the kind of people who cannot bear the weight of truth. For the next generation, this choice will be even more decisive. They will inherit an information landscape engineered to flatter their instincts, not challenge them. What does not kill us may make us stronger, but what keeps us comfortable makes us weak. If we wish to remain free in mind and spirit, we must be willing to endure the discomfort of thinking for ourselves. The herd will always be there to welcome us back. But once you have tasted the clarity of independent thought, you may find that no comfort is worth the price of surrendering it.